Hello out there, welcome to this tutorial on statistics. In this video, we'll be finding the class boundary of a class interval. So we have our problem here. Find the class boundary of each of the class intervals in the distribution below. We have the distribution here. The first column representing the height contains the intervals of the height, while the second column represents the frequency. So to calculate the class boundary for each of these, we are going to create a new column and call it class boundary. To start with the first class interval, we are assuming there is a class interval before this for the beginning, and that class interval is 125 to 134, which means we are going to find a boundary between this upper class interval and the lower class interval here. To get the boundary, we said 134 plus 135. We divide the sum by 2, and that will give us 134.5. That is representing the lower class boundary of this class interval. Then 2, we find the upper class boundary. The upper class boundary is obtained from the upper class interval of this class and the lower class boundary of the next class, which is 145. So what we do again is 144 plus 145, dividing the sum by 2, we have 144.5. This 144.5 will automatically become the lower class boundary of the next class interval, which is 144.5. Remember, we would have added 144 plus 145 divided by 2 to give us the lower class boundary of this class interval. So we have it here. Then we find the upper class boundary now. The upper class boundary is between 154 and 155. We are going to add them and then divide the sum by 2, and that gives 154.5. This 154.5 automatically becomes the lower class boundary of this class interval. We only concentrate on the upper class boundary, which is obtained by adding 164 to 165 and dividing the sum by 2, we have 164.5. We said this 164.5 automatically forms the lower class boundary of the next interval. So we then concentrate on the upper class boundary. The upper class boundary is obtained also by adding 174 to 175, dividing the sum by 2, we have 174.5. This 174.5 automatically becomes the lower class boundary of this. So we then concentrate on the upper class boundary, which is obtained by adding 184 to 185, dividing the sum by 2, we have 184.5. This 184.5, which will automatically form the lower class boundary of the next class interval. We then concentrate on the upper class boundary. So to obtain the upper class boundary of this last class interval, we know that there is another class boundary. We bring it as 195 to 204. We are interested in adding 194 to 195. Dividing the sum by 2, we have 194.5, which represents the upper class boundary of the last class interval. And this is the end of the solution to this problem, and this is where we are ending this tutorial. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and share this video. Until we come your way again, goodbye.